Ian Cumming. I'm a speaker here at the different conference, I guess, concerning our move from a dairy farm in Eastern Ontario to New York 11 months ago. Mainly because it's not totally open market. You can forward contract milk products down there as you can grain here. I had a son that wanted to farm. Bottom line was the cost. What we had sold for, we moved 20 miles from home and we sold for $45,000 a cow, and we bought for $5,200 a cow and we bought a better facility. And plus in Ontario with the quota system at the time, they had capped the price at $25,000 and they prorated it out to people, so the most you'd expand was a cow a year. There's no other way to do it. Here in Alberta it's worth over $36,000 a cow, but you can buy what you want. And so that was the situation before. I was leery of high debt. We had started in early '81. I paid 20% interest, and I wasn't going to put my son in a situation where his debt was going to be between $25,000 and $30,000 a cow. Bank of Montreal yesterday at Red Deer said their average loans in dairy farms were $21,000 a cow across the nation at the moment. And I'm leery of quota staying, and either scenario, if we stayed and he had that high debt, or the scenario if it went, I found neither attractive. Price. I just came out of a conference here where the Costco people were talking, and they dropped the price of their pumpkin pies, I think it was from $7.20 to $5.99, and their sales went up 112% across the world. So price has a lot to do with it, and no matter how and the perverse thing is that Canadian producers have to be as efficient or more efficient than Americans, because you have to sell your milk at American price if you're going to be able to finance quota. Like, you have to operate at those costs if you're going to have that left over to finance quota. Like $30,000 quota, and it's 36 now in Alberta. At 10 years at present interest rates, paid back over 10 years, you're left with $8 a hundred US money, 100 pounds, and we've contracted in the middle of 2012 for 20. So which one is a young guy going to do better from? Like, there are some basic principles here. And the farm we bought, we paid $630,000 for. That ships $550,000 worth of milk in the U.S. prices. So you have an investment of earnings ratio of 1.5 to 1, and in Canada it's 45 to 1. And that's where Nortel was when it collapsed. Well, you need government support to keep something there. And that's what we have. But of course it's working. And I did a speech in Saskatoon a couple months ago, and I made them angry, but I compared the people who run the marketing boards to the Amish bishops of the old order, and they'll keep their people out of trouble. There'll be no bankruptcies, there'll be no bad people, there'll be no chaos. But by God, they haven't achieved what they could have, could they? And somebody told me he found that comparison insulting, and I said it was intended to be. Because the average consumption in the US, depending on the dairy product, is from 19 to 35% more than Canada. Because it's cheaper, they're more innovative, they do all different things. It's been 40 years, and 40 years sales record doesn't increase and your population's more than doubled. Most people would be fired, or turned around, or changed, or tweaked, or something. But it's a religion. I live by the Quebec border, and it's a religion. And it's something that no Canadian government of any political stripe will even touch because of Quebec. Quebec now drives the quota policy for all of Eastern Canada. Like, they're in the P5, and they make the rules, and it's their rules and so on. And they're just a different cap. They always have been.
So it's kind of disproportionate representation, you would say.
Yeah, Quebec has 23% of the population, 40% of the nation's milk quota. Like, for whatever reason, I don't know, they didn't earn it. They got it with whatever. So yeah, and it's constant. Like, it's the constant anti-Americanism. It's the constant barrage of WTO trade talks. And I've covered Dairy Farmers of Canada meeting for a decade and a half. And the Minister of Agriculture, whatever political party comes in, says the same speech every year. And this is totally Quebec-driven fear of the UPA in Quebec and keeping Quebec calm and happy. And I've had the former WTO trade negotiators tell me that's all that is based on, our stance at WTO and so on. No prime minister, or they have hard choices to make, these political, they do. And their hard choice is that, you know, we keep Quebec stable, we keep them happy, and it's easier to run the country. And that's their choice. Because if you put 4,000 farmers in jeopardy and say, you know, 1,000 of them survive, 3,000 people in some kind of financial problem is not a big deal in this, you know, in the specter of the way it works in the world anymore. I mean, you know, declining this, or there's been far greater fallouts than that. They can very simply privatize trucking. They can very simply say, like similar to the wheat board out here, that they don't need to be the sole person, you can go and do your own thing. And then that would encourage competition. And then yes, if they're going to be a marketing board, then we'll have to market, you know, like they won't, but nobody will go there. I don't know where we get from where they are here to where we need to be. I don't know what's involved. There's been different scenarios even presented in Quebec where they said you took a government bailout that would be self-supporting, and you paid people out like 15,000 to 20,000 a cow and that.
Like they're doing in the hog industry.
Yeah, and then there would be, but then you kept milking, but then there would be a tax on the milk where they would pay that back, or you would rent your quota per year and that payment went to pay that down, you know, my self-supporting thing. Those things got laughed out of the room, hooted down. There were some forward-looking people back when quota was 12,000, 15,000 a cow going, well, this is getting out of control, we need to backtrack, and they're looking like geniuses now, but that's no, but there isn't the will, so I don't know.